and then looks on in shock when the monsters do what monsters do. In this sense, we live in a culture that goes back to a warning all the way at the beginning of our culture. I'm thinking of a play by Euripides called the Bacchae. If you're familiar with that play, it's about the women have left their looms, so it's kind of a play about feminism. The women have all left their looms. They're off on the mountainside dancing naked, watching the Asiatic, or worshiping the Asiatic god Dionysus. And Pentheus, who is an intelligent man, he's the king of Thebes. He realizes that this is not a private issue when women take off their clothes and dance on the mountain. There is social order involved in this thing, and he as the king is responsible for social order, and so he has to do something. He has to apprehend Dionysus, which is, of course, what he does. It's easy to capture Dionysus. He brings him into his throne room, and Dionysus says, "Your armies have no power over me," and the king kind of smirks. And then Dionysus shows the king why his armies have no power. He says to him, "Would you like to see the women dancing naked on the mountainside?" In other words, he appeals to the king's prurient interest. And the king, as a matter of fact, would like to see the women dancing naked on the mountainside. And so Dionysus says, "Well, I'll take you there, but you've got to do one thing. You have to put on a dress." So the king puts on a dress, and he marches through the town and sort of ruins his authority by walking around like this. The gender studies people would have a field day with this one. Goes up to the mountain, and Dionysus points to a tree and says, "If you climb that tree, you'll get a better view." So Pentheus climbs the tree, and at this point, this reminded me of a scene at Harvard when Adam was there, and the women were shouting yes is yes and no is no. I thought the Corybantic feminists were coming to get me. But Pentheus climbs the tree, the women see him, and then they rush over, and they bring him down, and they tear him limb from limb. In the final scene of the play, Pentheus's grandfather is standing there, and he says to this woman, "What do you see?" Now the woman is sitting there with Pentheus's head in her lap. The woman happens to be Pentheus's mother. But she's still under this kind of feminist Dionysian intoxication. She says, "It's a trophy. It's a lion's head. It's something great." And her father says, "Look again." And then the intoxication starts to wear off. And she looks down and she realizes it's the head of her son. And she says, great line, he says, "What do you see?" And she says, "I see horror. I see suffering. I see grief." That's what we see right now